Warning: this video will discuss depression and suicide. I come from a beautiful place. Nature is in balance, the air is fresh, the people smiley and friendly. Main source of income is obviously tourism. What else could it be? These dreamy mountains and stressless lifestyle of the inhabitants is perfect for a home away from home, in both summer and winter. Oh, fuck, it's not true. The truth about my home, our home, is that it's all fake. It's this illusion of an ideal world with death constantly gnawing and scratching at its surface. It's scary and yet it's comforting. The exit is always near, just tempting us. We have the highest rate of alcoholism and suicide in all of Italy, and nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. I can't believe I'm the only one seeing this. Did you hear about the neighbors? Word is they're getting a divorce. Yeah. Well, she has cancer and he is just an awful man, really. Every time I see him, he smells of sweat. I know he's just coming home from work, but a bit of common decency. Feelings of superiority are a common thing in societies that are this reclusive. And everyone has, or wants to have, a reason to feel better than the others. If it's about money, race, or even intelligence, everybody wants to feel as if they are the smart one, the thinker, the one that secretly stands above all the others, and is just so much more aware. You are different and therefore special, but the others? They are different and therefore weird. That is why we gossip, discuss other people's failures, expose them in public as much as possible, and hope that your own shortcomings will fall into obscurity. I certainly did. Because if you are not special, that would mean you've lost. That would mean you finally become as dim-witted as everyone around you, and secretly hating every single person you know, while at the same time being proud of your great country, is what it's all about. I get why you're upset. I really do. But I'm not racist. I'm not. I refuse to be made the enemy here. I am an honest man doing honest work. What have they brought to our country but misery? They are liars, they're cheats, they're thieves. I'm not being racist. I'm merely protecting what is dear to me. And isn't that my right? Isn't that what this great country was founded on? On protecting our lands, protecting who we truly are, not what is being forced on us by others. That's what I believe. So, as you know by now, we absolutely need tourism to survive. But for a country that lives off of tourism, we're positively packed with racism and racial tension. Of course, this has its roots, as the originally Austrian region has been taken over by Italy after World War I, and much injustice has been inflicted onto the indigenous people because of it. However, we are talking about a conflict that has now started over 100 years ago, and people still just won't let go of it. Of course, this has gotten better with the time, but the wound of what happened still festers and bleeds underneath. The Germans and Italians still often just don't gel well together. And I'll cook up a very unexpected factor in all of this for you too. Tourism. Well, yes, tourism being the lifeblood of a country should mean it to be very open and welcoming. But The South Tyrolean touristic strategy is a double-edged blade. Innovate, yes, but keep it old school. Stick to tradition wherever you can. The very thing that nourishes this country is what keeps it forever stuck in the past, incapable of moving on for both good and for bad. Of course, this also bleeds into the treatment of immigrants. So fresh is the memory of a foreign land invading us all, taking away our culture, our language, our jobs. Why would we let our daughter go study in England? That is insane! I can't think of a country more dangerous. What is wrong with the universities in our country? She could go to study here. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing. The notion that every part of the world is just as bad, if not worse, than where you live right now is typical for countries so obsessed with themselves. News are plastered with autofellatio, if not propaganda. But since we only care about our country and bad news do pay the bills, those have to be about our lovely region too. Since that's all we ever see, many people do start to assume that the rest of the world works just like this. And since we have established that immigrants are both bad and evil, many just assume that the rest of the world is objectively worse. I love my sister to death, but we once talked about how she cannot understand my decision of moving out, because the rest of the world is just as bad as South Tyrol. But that's objectively not true. There are so many drastically different people and cultures and countries on this planet. There is truly a home for everyone. For many, it just isn't their birthplace. There's this almost curse-like enthrallment with people that live in South Tyrol. We often get told we are born here, we place our roots here, and will die here. But what is it about that? Why is that the norm? Why is that considered the good thing to do? It sounds like a curse to me, or just plain stupidity. Yes, well, the crops aren't doing too great this year, just like last year really. Everything's just kind of going to shit. But I chose this job, just like we chose to marry each other, right? I know you're worried about me, but there's nothing to be worried about. I'm a psychologist! You're kidding, right? Now, I do realize this section is completely anecdotal, but in the year that I've spent in Germany, I did notice a distinct lack of reckless behavior in the youth when compared to where I come from. Of course, this doesn't have to mean anything. But to me, it does speak volumes about the cultures of these two countries. I don't see Germans bragging about how they were so drunk they got sent to the hospital or almost died in a car crash every second weekend. As much as opting into this lifestyle of copious self-destruction is supposed to make you normal, I fail to see how being a suicidal maniac is supposed to make you so. Here, I'll tell you this. While I was doing my research for this video, I came about this positively ridiculous article praising how the depression rate was getting lower and lower, while at the same time saying that the suicide rate isn't budging at all. What this means to me, and to any sane person, is that the situation is getting worse and worse, because depressed people aren't even telling others that they are depressed. They're just killing themselves. And we are supposed to celebrate that. Well done. I'm glad I don't live in that hellhole anymore. I'm not saying you can't have fun. Hell, I enjoy the occasional cigarette and drink. What I am saying is that you are pathetic and weak, because the only thing giving any sort of meaning to your life is getting drunk every weekend to try to forget how fucking meaningless your life is. There's nothing more to you than that. I am better than you. I have won. You can't hurt me anymore! No, no, that's not how this story ends. The story of the young man walking out into the wild world alone doesn't end with him being showered in success. It ends with him confused. You see, when I first got to Germany a year ago, I was quite literally homeless. I met some very special people who taught me the way they had built their home, and the tools they've given me will be useful forever. But now, a year after I got to Germany, I feel homeless for a very different reason. As much as I wanted to make this video ranting about how shitty Italy is, as much as I wanted to finally, and that was my plan, finally step on Italy one last time and step up, I can't let go of anything that happened to me in Italy. I can't let go of the positive things, I can't let go of the negative things. There are so many people back in my home country that I love, that I just, if I forgot them, I would lose a very important part of me. But at the same time, this ties me back to very dark things. And as much as I wanted to give the fault to how bad the society in Italy is, it isn't wholly Italy's fault what happened to me. I can't go back to Italy. I can't go back to living there. Whenever I return, I feel horrible. Everything is wrong. Everything is choking me, essentially. I can't go back, and that's also my fault too. I've made mistakes too. I wanted to be special so much that I sabotaged myself. I threw myself out of so many opportunities, of so many chances to plant my roots. So, and I know this is a very loaded question. If you're watching this video and you're planning on living in the place of your birth or the area of your birth forever, please don't do it like me. Make it comfortable for yourself, but change things. Because truth is, the problems and the enemies I faced in Italy, in retrospect, were very simple. And now that I'm an adult and I see my mistakes, I see bigger goings on globally, I am scared. Because I can't go back to just being mad at some irrational, non-existent thing like a region. A curse on a land. I can't go back to that. And the new problems, the new enemies I face are more powerful, they're more personal, they are stronger, because more often than not, they are myself too. And that's something I never could realize as long as I had lived in Italy. So in the same breath as I tell you to embrace and change and fight for where you live. I also urge you to recognize that your place of birth doesn't have to be where you die. There's a lot of world out there. I don't know if Germany is my home. I've been given the tools to create it, but it's a long process. It's going to take me years if I ever succeed. And there's one last thing I need to tell South Tyrol. For all the hyperbole in this video, for all the rude and exaggerated criticism, there's one thing that every society needs to know of. You cannot ignore mental health. It's a disease. If you don't treat it, it will spread. Especially mental health, in my opinion, is extremely infectious. And if this attitude towards it in South Tyrol continues to just live on, so will mental health, and it will one day be even more of a problem. It's a wildfire waiting to spread. It's dangerous. You need to treat it. Please do that. As for me, I've lived many different lives. I've had many different mindsets throughout my life. And if there's one thing I noticed is that my mindsets always need to die out. There always needs to be a big situation in which I have a huge heartbreak and a part of me or a lot of me dies so that I can move on with my life. And I think right now I'm at that cusp again, where something really bad happened and I need to let go and rebuild myself again. And it's exhausting, it's annoying, but it's my life, and it's the life of many, many people. There is no use in blaming others for what became of you. I just realized that now. You don't have to forgive people. There's things that are unforgivable. But you need to move on. You can't live chained to a place in which you don't belong. It's time to go now. I'll see you in the next cycle.
Chris is back in town? No, I don't want to fucking meet him. Don't you know? He's gay!